Hi everyone, welcome to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel. This is Rena. Today we're going to take a look at a couple of products from the February 15th release. First up, we have a Zodiac Dragon, and I'm so super excited because I am a dragon, and this is the 5th installment of the stamp sets for the Zodiac series. I love this one because it has a little bowl of noodles and a little dumpling, and it's so adorable. As always, the dies will come with two U-shaped dies where you can die cut the hands so your Zodiac animal can hold something. Next up, we have a fun interactive creative cut set. This is a slider glider. As you'll see, there's two sets of dies here. The smaller dies are for portrait style cards, and the longer creative cuts are for landscape style dies. I'll go over the pieces here and how we can use these dies to make different types of sliders. So we'll just roll right into it. I've cut out two of each of the pull tab and also the tabbed dies. And I've cut it out on 80-pound paper. If you use a heavier paper, when you fold the tabs down, it'll kind of stop that pull. So you'll want to use 80 pounds. I'm going to take two of these pulls and I'm going to just adhere two of them together. And then I'll be doing the same for the two tab pieces. I folded them out and then I'm going to adhere them back to back so each side will have the tabs sticking out. I'm just using some double-sided adhesive here to put these tabbed pieces together. And you can see the tabs are sticking out on either side. And I'm going to use the double-sided tape to kind of tape those tabs down on each side. So you'll be doing this 4 times. And you'll want to keep the release paper on. You'll need a piece of plastic to create the sliding motion. So typically people will use bags, grocery bags, any sort of type of bag. I have a piece of plastic here and I'm going to measure it out to, I believe, 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to measure it and kind of put a little marking with my pen. And then I'll be cutting it down with scissors. I just want to make sure that it is wide enough to fit into the two open slits that you see on the mechanism there. I'm going to put it through the mechanism, and sort of the trick with this is don't tighten it up fast, just kind of put it through the slits, and then you'll want to adhere the two ends together with your double-sided tape. And you just don't want to think too hard about it. You don't want it to be too tight and you don't want it to be too loose. So do it that way. And then I will be putting it together with my double tape. And then as you can see, my piece of plastic is long, so I'll just be cutting it down. And on that seam is where you're going to put another piece of adhesive and then remove the release paper. And then you'll put the end of your pull on it, and then you'll tuck in that pull into the other side of that tab piece. And there you can see how the mechanism works. I'll be showing you 2 ways on how to expose that tab so it's easy for the recipient to pull the mechanism. So the first way is to cut down your card base and your card 1/4 of an inch. So your size of your card will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then you'll take out the 2 release papers and then you will adhere it to your card front. And because you've cut out 1/4 of an inch, you want the tab to stick out 1/4 of an inch. Now that our mechanism is stable and adhered, I'm going to put 2 pieces of foam tape at the bottom of the mechanism, and that's going to hold our piece that's going to hide the mechanism. Now we're going to put our image that will be sliding, and a good way to adhere the image is to use acetate. I like to save pieces from packaging and keep them in my stash, or you can just use regular acetate. And I've pre-cut a bunch of strips so they're at the ready. I'm going to put a little piece of foam tape there too on top of the mechanism, just in the side, just so I can reinforce the card. I'm going to remove the foam tape at the bottom, and then I'm going to put my piece that's going to hide the mechanism on top. And you want to make sure in the area where the mechanism is sliding to not have anything to stop it. So I just have a sample image there. I've adhered it to the acetate, and you can see when you pull that tab, the image will go back and forth. So that is the sample where we've cut down our card base 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 to have that tab stick out 1/4 of an inch. This next sample, we're going to make it to where we can maintain the card base at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 by creating a notch. So we're going to do the same process that we did before. We're going to cut down 2 of these pulls, and then we're going to adhere them together. Remember that you're using 80-pound paper. I'm going to fold down the tabs on the mechanism down on both pieces, and then I'll be adhering them back to back with the tabs sticking out with some double-sided adhesive. You'll want to make sure that all of your little slits align, just so everything is nice and smooth when you pull your tab. I'm going to adhere all 4 tabs down together with my double-sided adhesive, leaving the release paper on. So you will be doing this 4 times, 2 on each side. Then I'll be taking my plastic, and I pre-cut everything, so I had it all in a little bowl and everything was ready to go. And so I'm going to thread that through the slits, and then I'm going to adhere the ends together with some double-sided adhesive. And where that seam is where you put it together, you're going to put another piece of double-sided adhesive. And that's where you'll put the end of your pull. And then you're going to tuck the end of that other pull inside the tab, and that's how your mechanism will move. I'm going to cut a little notch here. So I have the piece that's going to cover my mechanism, and I'm kind of placing it where I think I'll want it. And I'll take my little pull die, and I put a little piece of tape there. I just measured out 3/8 of an inch just so I wouldn't have to keep measuring it. And then I'm going to cut a little slit at the end there. I'm going to position it on top of my card base, and that's how I'll get it to land in the same spot. I'm going to die cut it, and then when you put those 2 pieces together, it should create a little notch for you. So I'm going to adhere my mechanism, and that way you'll have a little notch so you can pull your mechanism through and also maintain the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card front. I'm going to adhere the mechanism to the card, so I'm going to remove the release papers behind those 2 tabs, and I'm going to place it on the inside of that notch. I will show you guys how to make a stopper. You'll want to create a stopper piece because the recipient might just keep pulling it and break the mechanism, so you want a piece to stop it. I've cut out a bunch of extra pull tabs, and then I've cut out just little strips from that pull tab to create the stopper, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. You'll also notice too that I don't use that covering piece. I don't cover the mechanism until I'm completely fine with everything sliding and the design being okay. The last thing that you want to do is to hide the mechanism with your landscape piece. So I've attached my acetate. I'm going to take my image and I'm going to adhere it to that acetate. I'm also going to put my double-sided foam tape, and remember your foam tape needs to be higher than the mechanism, so make sure that it's thick enough. There's where I want the image to stop. I'm going to put a piece of tape, and then that little piece of cardstock will stop that image from going more. So that's important to do. Then I'll cover the mechanism, and here it is. Here are the two versions side by side. You'll see that one on the top is with the notch style, and the one on the bottom is with the 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 size card. Here's how I made those stopper pieces. I just cut out one of the pull tabs, and then I cut a bunch of different pieces from it, and that's what I use to make the stopper piece when you're trying to stop the tab on the card. I'm going to make 3 different types of styles for this slider glider mechanism. And the first style I'm going to make is where your image is emerging from somewhere where they're hiding, sort of like a peekaboo style. So I've cut out this little cloud piece, and I've pre-colored all my images. My images are from the Zodiac Dragon set, and that will release on February 15th. But I will put all the Copic marker colors down below in the description box for you. I just wanted to pre-color everything, and I pre-made all of the mechanisms too, so we can just focus on kind of how to put together the images. So I've created my piece where my dragon is hiding, and you can see that he fully is covered by that piece. Now I'm taking my landscape piece and I'm creating my notches. All my card examples here, I'm doing the notch style type, and where I'm using my tab piece to create the notch. So anytime that you're putting this together, you want to make sure just everything works, and then you want to make sure that you're using your stopper too, because depending on your design, you'll want it to stop in a certain area so your image doesn't collide with one of your design elements. I'm going to take my double foam tape and put it at the bottom. That's what's going to hold your piece that covers the mechanism. And I'm going to kind of put everything together. I'm trying to make sure that nothing is colliding, is going to potentially collide, and I'm just doing all of the placement. So that's where I want my image to be. So that's where I'll put my acetate. I'll put my double-sided adhesive, put my acetate, and then we're going to adhere my dragon. But as you know, I don't want it to get stuck in the cloud, so I'm only putting the double-sided foam tape in certain areas so it doesn't touch that balloon or any part of that image. So I'm ready to commit to adhering down that image. And then the tape was colliding with the balloon, so I'm going to remove some of it so it doesn't collide. You want to make sure before you adhere anything that that's really where you want it to be, and that's how much tape that you want. So my image should move freely from the cloud, and then now I'm going to decide where I want to stop the piece. Since I don't want it to get stuck, I don't want my dragon to come out fully because he might not go back in. So if he's just peeking out and he's still inside the cloud, that'll reduce him getting stuck if he's already inside. So that's why I decided to have him peek out and a little piece of him is still inside the cloud. And I'm putting my stopper piece, and then now he won't go past that area where I put the stopper. Now that everything works the way I want it, I can put my piece that hides the mechanism on. And I was just so excited about making these cards that I'm going to finish them off at the end of the video. I just wanted to make sure that everything worked. I will be adding another design element on this card. But look at it, it's so cute. It's just coming out of the cloud. I had fun with that one. So that's the Peekaboo style. So this style here is going to be a little bit more complex. So once you know how the mechanism works, you can envision your design and then you can make it to how you want it based on what your design elements want to do. So I've pre-made this sort of background. I ink blended using the Kingdom Trio dies, and I just used the negative of that die cut to create kind of a stencil so I can make sort of this fiery city behind the dragons. So these dragons are going to meet in the middle, which is crazy, but it's super easy to do. I'm creating my notches here. Because I'm going to do the notch style card. I'm also creating notches on the card base as well. Going to take my mechanism. I'm going to remove the 2 release papers and place it so it lands inside that notch. Then I'll be taking my double-sided foam tape and putting it at the bottom. That foam tape will be holding the piece that hides the mechanism. And you can see that I don't adhere that piece that hides the mechanism until last because I want to make sure all the things are working smoothly. So these 2 dragons are going to meet. So we're going to put the one first here that we're normally used to putting. And then I'll show you where to put the other one. So we have 2 pieces of acetate here because we have 2 dragons. So when you put the acetate on front of that slider pull, it will go to the right. If you want it to go to the left, like the one that I just adhered now, you have to put a piece of tape, double-sided tape, and put it directly on your plastic piece. And that will allow the movement to go to the left. So if you put both of them, one in front on the tab and one in back directly on the plastic piece, your 2 objects that you choose will meet in the middle. Now that my acetates are on, I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive on top of the acetates, and then I will put my images on them. And then now the next thing that we have to think about is where we want to stop, have the images stop. So I'm testing it out and I don't want them to collide like that. So I'm going to put my stopper to where they don't collide. So I'm getting my stopper piece ready. I'm going to pull and then I'm going to decide, oh, we want to stop there. Then we put our stopper piece. So now when you pull it, they won't collide because that stopper piece is stopping them from doing that. Now that my design is okay, I'm going to commit to putting my piece that hides the mechanism on. You want to line everything up nice with that notch, and that is what that card looks like. So the next card I'm going to be making is where the dragon will meet another dragon that's stationary. So I have my little dragons here. I love the little accessories that comes with the Zodiac dragon set. So we have a little Chinese envelope. I'm also going to eventually be using the sentiment from the set as well. I'm going to create my notches here. And then once I have the piece that hides the mechanism all notched out, I'll use that as a template to cut the card base. I have my mechanism here. I made a bunch of mechanisms just so I could just use them as I felt like it. And then I'm going to place it so where it nestles inside that notch. I'm going to put my double-sided foam tape on. And then there's the piece that hides everything. And then now I like to kind of play with the images and see where they'll be. And that one dragon to the right is going to be the stationary guy. He's not moving at all. So he's holding his little lantern. I'm prepping my stopper piece, prepping my acetate piece. So I'm taking my acetate piece, I'm adhering it to the tab in front because I want my dragon to go to the right because he's going to meet up with the other dragon. And then again, you can see me always playing with the different elements just to make sure nothing's going to collide and nothing's going to crash. So here I have my dragon. He's going to go on the acetate. And then I'm going to place the other dragon. The other dragon's not going to move. So I'm going to adhere him down. And then this is where I'll do some testing to see where I want that other dragon to stop. So there I am prepping my little stopper piece. I'm moving him. I want him to stop there, and that is where I'm going to plop my stopper piece. Testing it out, seeing if it's okay. It's all good. I'm going to commit to covering the mechanism. So you always want to test it before you move forward with adhering. But you can always pull it off because I did that a bunch of times. So I just have like a little cloud piece on top. And that is done. I also wanted to make note of the backgrounds that I used for this and the first card. I just die cut some file folders I got from Target a million years ago. I just thought they were a pretty marble color, so that's what I used for those two backgrounds. Now I'm going to do some finishing touches on my cards. I just got really excited with everything, and I wanted to see where everything laid out and everything was moving. So now I'm putting finishing touches. And I always want my cards, my interactive cards, to look good, whether they be in the open or closed position or pre-interactive movement and post-interactive movement. I still want them to look pretty before you use the interactive element. So I'm kind of looking at my cards, and I have a lot of images left over, and so I'm going to utilize them just to beef up my cards. I'm using a sentiment from the Zodiac Dragon set. This is wishing you good fortune. And then those are my cards, and this is where I'm like, I'm going to use all the extra images that I had. So I'm going to add this dragon to this card because I want the card to look pretty when it's in the closed position also. And I'm also putting it in the open position just so it looks pretty both ways. So I'm adding that extra image down below, and it doesn't interact with the other moving pieces, so that's all good. I had an extra dragon, and so I'm going to put him on top of the other dragon, and then that works. So I have pictures here of all my completed cards. So this first card is where it's Peekaboo style, where you have an element that covers your image and it comes out. I added that extra little dragon at the bottom, and also the grass too. That's from the Grassy Trio die. This card here is where we have two elements meeting together, and for that dragon to the right, in order for him to go toward the left, you'll want to adhere your acetate behind the mechanism directly on your plastic piece. For this slider, we had a little dragon friend move toward the right to his friends who are stationary on the right side. Also, don't forget the importance of that stopper piece. That'll allow your design to go smoothly and not have the objects sort of collide with each other. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my cards. I want to give a special thank you to Anita Chang, who gave me all the instructions on how to use this die. She is the designer of this die. I'll leave her Instagram information down below. She has different examples on how to use this slider glider mechanism. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give this video a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel and tap on that bell to get notified of future videos. Also, remember to hashtag your projects with hashtag Mama Elephant. We'd love to see what you made. Thank you so much for watching again. I will see you guys tomorrow. We have a gorgeous Ada Zamora set, Family Time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.